Awesome, Sherry. That was amazing. It's the first time I've heard that version of the new opener.
You
Sounds
like
great.
it?
Yeah, a little bit more depth, a little bit more lyrics.
The backstory on that is there's the songwriter is Bernadette Quist, and I needed a new song, right? And she went into the studio to record, and there were some Grammy Award-winning musicians that she works with.
Just happened to be hanging out.
And they recorded the song.
That's amazing.
So, anyways, it's kind of a foot tapper.
I like it.
But as I was listening
That's
to
change.
as I was listening to it, one thing that popped up is avocados, right? Mm-hmm. So my kids were in town with the grandkids, and there's like avocados all over our house for different reasons. And the kids, my 9-year-old granddaughter goes, "Grandma, I think we need to do an avocado intervention for you." So anyways, it was cute. But
Trader Joe's has these bags of these little smaller avocados, and it's like the perfect size.
Yeah.
You know, so just one's enough, so you don't have to split one and then store the other. It's like the perfect size for a meal.
Well, good to know. Thank you. I'll put that in the magazine too. Good to know.
Favorite things.
So anyways, my guest is Dr. Adam Rushford from Hands On Health Chiropractic, and he's brilliant and has changed my life. So let's talk about some of those things that you do that make our lives better, right?
Thank you. Well, I talk a lot. People think as a chiropractor you spent your whole day adjusting, but the majority of my day is talking. I love to adjust. I love the process of chiropractic. I fell in love with it, right out of school. I love the physicality of it as an athlete and a physical person loves to move. I love the action of chiropractic. But what I always love the most about our office in particular and about what I get to do is to develop those habits in people. So, my job, pretty much 90% of it is probably begging people to exercise. That seems to be what I spend the majority of my time doing. And then the other percentage is asking them if they've done their exercise, and the rest is prescribing more exercise.
And prescribing.
And then making sure they're recovering from their exercise.
So, I mean, just that is, dozens of topics, right? Yeah. So to your point, as we were talking earlier, so I went to Neil Young concert last night.
Very jealous.
It was mind-boggling, perfect, right? Experience.
80? Is he closer to 80 than?
I think he's like 78.
Yeah, he's still got it.
He does. And it was a full moon. Tonight's a full moon, so it's close to full moon. It was just a beautiful thing. But what I was chuckling about is there's lots of steps, and it's it's a workout, and because of you. Begging,
dancing
pleading,
on a hill is a challenge too. You get that.
Begging, pleading, doing all that you've done for the last couple of years on my behalf. It was no big deal. Yep. I was running up and down those stairs like nothing, and I was literally thinking, it's like, wow, I am so grateful to you for just staying at it. And so I used to go to see you as a chiropractor for pain relief, and to what's the word? It's not proactive. It's
preventative.
Not even preventative. It's when you're in pain and
acute care.
Acute care, right? I was realizing that last night. It's like I used to go for you for acute care, and now I just go to you for preventative maintenance.
So I've got a new analogy that I've been working with people about that type of care that I love, that it seems to resonate with people. So I was talking about like acute care is just paying off debt, basically. You're paying off the debt of the stress that you put your body through. It's the work that you do when the pain's gone, that's saving for retirement. That's actually building equity and health, and is the most important work that you can do. The adjustments that we do on patients that are pain-free are the most important adjustments that we do. Yeah, it's more exciting to go from a 10 out of 10 radiating nerve pain down to no pain at all, but way more important, way more exciting is keeping somebody functional, strong, playing, happy until their 70s, 80s, and beyond, and getting the most out of their health and their life while they're here.
They're here. And so we have really started, we're really talking a lot about like, how do you want to live the last 10 years of your life? Mm-hmm. And one of the things, my mom was here this last week, and she's 86, and she can move around pretty well. She's got MS, but she's got a dog. Yeah. And so the dog makes her walk 3 times a day, right?
That's great.
And walk upstairs to her apartment. So as we were talking, as you're like looking for ways, it's been one of your big things, or find ways that just become your way of life to move.
Yeah.
And so talk about that.
Yeah, so I'm writing a new article for the magazine right now that's about like, supplementing is great, but you're like Peter Attia says, you're majoring in the minor, all right? You're not focusing on the things that give you the biggest change. I love to exercise, but the exercise is nothing compared to just getting an active lifestyle. Like when I see people, like fighting to find time to make it in a gym for a half hour, but then they're driving their golf cart when they drive around their community. It's like, let's get moved. There's the movement and exercise is all around us. Let's stop relying on machines to carry and lift and move our bodies all the time. And let's do it ourselves instead of manufacturing and trying to supplement after sitting and doing nothing all day long, trying to manufacture, 30 minutes, 3 times a week of a workout. It's good, but it's nothing like the huge change you can get just with an active lifestyle.
So to that point, we're in this middle of this big remodel. And so my kitchen has moved from the main floor to the lower level. And so I'm literally running up and down 3 flights of steps all day long.
Yeah.
And I feel better than I think I've ever remember feeling.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's silly, but what you're saying.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
I think my neighbors all think I'm a little crazy because we live on a lake and it's like 100 yards from our house down to the beach. And I always rarely will I walk it. I'll jog it. I'll run it. And most everybody else in the community has golf carts and they drive their golf cart down. And they're always like, when are you just going to get a golf cart? I'm like, when my legs stop working, then I will get a golf cart.
Right.
All right. Until then, I'm going to move them as much as I can, within reason,
Right.
because I've got a busy life. I've got time for some workout, but I can't focus my time at the gym all the time. I have to find ways to get it throughout my day and not just rely on that 1 half hour, 45 minutes that I have in the gym.
So, and I've noticed as, like with Pilates. So I'm doing that 4 days a week now, and the more I do it, the more I want to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's becoming not like, oh, I got to go exercise. It's just, and some days I'm like, I don't really, but I'm like that feeling. I remember if I just get there and do the first minute,
you're going to feel better.
I know I'm going to, right. And as we were saying, if once you're done with a workout or moving or whatever, do you ever say, I wish I hadn't done that?
Never. Yeah, we were talking about before. I always patients just think I love to work out. And when I talk to them, like, oh, you must just crave workouts. No, I mean, 70, 80% of my workouts I'm not excited to go do, but I know what I'm going to feel like after. And as we were talking about it, it started off with, it would be like, developing the motivation to do it. Motivation, it's like coffee. It'll come and go. All right. So eventually that motivation had to build into discipline to me, where I just was disciplined to do it. And over time, that discipline has now turned into an identity, where it's just something I know I'm going to do. I'm going to get my workouts in, whether I want to do it or not. I know how I'm going to feel when I'm all done. So I know I'm going to do it. So working from that motivation to discipline to identity really is such a key with anything you want to get better at, be it exercising or quitting smoking or eating healthier. That's kind of the framework that most people go. And to get long term, you have to shift into identity. Is the key. This is who you are. I'm not somebody that used to smoke. I'm just not a smoker. I'm not somebody that used to drink. I'm just not a drinker. I'm an exerciser. That's what I do. I move.
Right. But what I've found is to get there, we have to do things that we have to kind of almost do whatever it takes to get there.
Yep.
Right?
And you got to fail and start over a million times. And I've quit working out a ton in my past. And I was getting back to it. And most people use when they have those little setbacks and they fall off for a week, that week turns into a month, that turns into a year, because they put themselves down. They say, oh, I don't have the willpower to do it. I'm just not the person that I am. I'm just not somebody that moves. And they attack themselves instead of realizing we all fail at this a million times before we form identity. and just starting over again as soon as possible. And people spend too much time criticizing themselves, thinking they can't.
On everything.
Thinking that they can't, instead of just starting over and just keep starting over and keep starting over and keep starting over until it's an identity.
Well, and then I've also found until there's also that finding something you really love to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I know I need community for me to move.
Yep.
And that's okay, whether it's walking, and I love walking, but I like walking with people, and I love for a cause kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I also, with the Pilates, it's a class.
Yep.
I don't have to do anything. I just show up, and then somebody tells me what to do.
And I'm the opposite of that because I'm always around people. There's between kids
Right?
and work, and I'm always communicating. Like I am somebody that really recharges by having just like some quiet alone time. Like I've got my room off the garage. I've got all my equipment in there. Close the doors, crank up the music by myself, getting a workout in.
And that sounds wonderful too,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
but the point is that keep trying until you find that thing that works for you.
Yep.
And then talk about anxiety.
Yeah.
You were talking about that and how that how this plays into that.
Yeah, it's the idea that the human brain and all humans in general need challenge, and in absence of challenge, you're going to get anxious. And I can't remember who I've heard this from, but basically he talked about anxiety just being a pent up feeling of not being challenged and not having something to push towards in life, basically. And the more times you don't have those challenges, the more your body's going to find something to be challenged about, and that will show up as anxiety or depression in some cases. So for me, like, I find challenges from working out. I find challenges from what I do for a profession, but I try to create in my life like simple challenges that I can work on, be it working out or doing cold plunges or doing saunas. I like to practice hard things. So when like the real hard things happen in life, my body and my stress response knows how to handle it, and I don't freak out and lose control. When I'm used to doing hard things all the time, and when my brain's telling me no, and I get scared about something, and I just go and do it, and I get the chance to practice that in a controlled setting. It's a lot easier to do when you're in the heat of the moment. I've got a waiting room full of patients, and I've got hard reports to do and hard conversations to have with people. My brain's like, all right, you've done more challenging things in your life. You can handle this. It brings my heart rate down, my respiratory rate down, and I'm good to go. As opposed to not having those things in my life, stress hits, I get nervous, respiratory rate goes up, your heart rate goes up, and your brain shuts off. You get into that fight or flight mode instead of being able to think and reason through situations.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, would you say it's a discipline, or it's just a way of being, or a thought process?
Identity.
Identity?
Yeah, identity over time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Identity. That's
creating a challenge.
Right?
I can't remember there's like a Japanese term for this, but it's this idea of like once a year you create this really hard challenge for yourself. And the goal for it, there's just a couple of rules. And one of the rules is that it can't be dangerous where you're going to hurt yourself.
Right.
And the second rule is there's a 50% chance that you might not succeed at it, and not being afraid of the failure and just doing it and giving your best and having that hard challenge. When I think of the name, it's a Japanese term. When I think of it, I'll shoot it over.
That would be an amazing article.
Yeah, I think there's a book written on it. I just can't recall the name.
So I will tell you one that I came across yesterday. That is the idea of eating insects.
Okay.
Right? Because there's...
we talking cricket protein, or what are we...
Well, there are billions of people in this world that eat insects just for part of their day.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's billions of people in this world that think that is one of the most disgusting things that you can do.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting. The conversation was how to add insects as protein into your diet. Yeah. And it goes into mindset. It's all belief.
Yeah,
right?
It's the different realities for everybody,
Exactly. But
for some realities, eating cows is just a disgusting thing.
Yeah. Exactly. But that idea of, and so the question kind of is can you eat an insect?
Yeah.
And
what do you think? Worms? Would you go for no?
No. And the fact that I have that reaction.
Yeah.
ties into what you just said.
Yep.
So what are those things that could be a challenge that are in the realm of possibility?
I think the nature of this idea is more of a physical thing, but it wouldn't necessarily have to be.
No.
It could be an emotional thing. It could be like a nutritional challenge, like eating bugs. But yeah, something that's hard, that is challenging, that makes you feel a little stressed out. Like anything, there's can always be a too far. All right, and it's kind of what I was getting into a lot on our latest article in Good Fat Life is, yeah, exercise is great, and movement is great, but there's a bigger and more important thing that follows exercise, and that is recovery. And I don't see this as much, but I had this happen. A patient come in with us yesterday that she was a huge go-getter. She worked out really hard. She worked in her yard a ton, and I was like, you're not recovering at all. You're just keep adding stress and trauma on top of stress and trauma on top of stress and trauma, and your body's not recovering. And when you do that, like, the most important part about exercise and movement is the recovery. All right. So
talk about that.
So the point of exercising is that you push your body past what it's normally capable of. Your body then has a little bit of a breakdown, and then you have this super adaptation where your body, develops a skill and ability that it didn't have before. So easiest way to think about it, that is muscle. And when you lift weights and you're doing strength training, you're literally ripping muscle fibers, and then they build back stronger with more nuclei in there to improve your ability. Now, if you don't recover properly, your body doesn't do that. So if you're not recovering properly, you're not getting any of the super adaptation. You're just basically burning calories, all right? Which is not the point.
But how do you so how do you know?
Yep. So Oura Ring.
Yeah.
Right? That's one of the number one tools that I use for knowing. So you can track your heart rate. So with the Oura Ring, obviously there's a readiness score on here. For me personally, if my readiness score is in like the mid 70s or below, it's like, yeah, maybe we just back off. It doesn't mean I don't work out at all or move at all. I just do more of an active recovery day instead of like trying to push towards that super adaptation. All right.
Okay.
So, if you don't have an Oura Ring, you can track your resting heart rate. And if in the morning your resting heart rate is 10 beats a minute higher than what it normally is, you're probably still in recovery. If you can't go in the gym and match the production that you did last time you were in the gym, you're probably still in recovery. If your respiratory rate is up a little bit, you're probably still in recovery. If your pulse ox is down like 97 and below, you're probably still in recovery. Because all that can lead into overtraining syndromes. And overtraining syndromes can be really dangerous because it can lead to more muscle loss and more gastrointestinal issues and cognitive issues. It can lead to bigger issues. Like everything, it has to be a balance. And with exercise and movement, that balance comes with better adaptation. So how I achieve that personally, as soon as I'm done with the workout, I try to shift my body, my nervous system from that fight or flight mode that you get in when you're working out into a recovery mode. So immediately when I'm done, I lay flat on my back. I usually scoot up against the wall and I do like the legs up the wall thing. I cover my eyes with a towel so I'm blacked out, and I just focus on breathing. Really focus on slowing down like the exhalation phase of my breath, which shifts your nervous system from sympathetic fight or flight into parasympathetic kind of recover and digest basically. All right. So that's a number one. And then after that, you have to replenish. You got to replenish with, electrolytes, whatever was lost during the workout. And for me, a big one is just replenishing with good protein because most of the time I'm doing strength training. So I need building blocks to build that muscle back up.
Okay. So there's a lot here. And my guess is
a lot of it's in the article.
I know. I'm just going to say, and for lots of people, some of the things that you were saying is like, I don't even know what that is, but those go in the articles, right? So there's a reason to read Good Fat Life, right? Because Doc Adams has amazing articles. But
if you're not there, if just starting off with stop relying on machines to lift and carry and move you all the time. Like
give an example.
Human bodies are meant to carry loads over distances. That's what our bodies, our postures, our spinal curves, everything is meant to carry load over distance.
But what does that look like in today's world, today's life, a daily life?
Yeah,
carrying groceries,
carrying your groceries, carrying a bag of salt instead of having a cart to carry it. You obviously you want to start with something that you're capable of and working your way up. But just, push mowing your yard instead of, sitting on a riding lawnmower and bouncing up and
Or
down
hiring
on it.
somebody to
or
do it
hiring
for you.
somebody to do it. Parking a little bit further away and carrying your groceries instead of carting them back. There's the movement is everywhere and the options are everywhere. We use and rely on machines for everything. Some of which is like, there's certain things that I want my car to do that I just don't want to do. But there's still low level things that are going to improve your muscle mass long term, your bone density for sure long term. If you're not carrying weight and load over distance, your bone density is really going to struggle. Seen a ton of patients coming in lately with diagnosis of osteoporosis and osteopenia. And it's because we don't have muscle mass and we just don't move. And when I have these conversations with patients about this, they say, well, I work out 3 times a week. What more can I do? I'm like, yeah, that's great that you do that. But think of what your great grandmother did and think of how much she moved every single day out of necessity. And do you think your 3 half hours of working out every week are even close to what she did? And the answer is no, not even close. And that's what our bodies are made for. We have this kind of recurrent theme that we go back to when we talk is just like finding out how to manage our bodies in modernity. Why we have this modern world, like our bodies have not adapted to modernity yet of sitting and the types of foods that we eat and just the amount of movement that we have in our lives. We're just not adapted to that yet. And you think of just technology, how much has changed in 10 years. I think back, my dad didn't have running water in his house when he was born. So our bodies we don't adapt that fast and we haven't adapted to the modern changes yet.
So I work with a lot of high school students in Detroit. And that's one of the big things is that they're sitting at school, they're sitting on their video games, they're sitting all weekend.
Yep.
And then they have high anxiety, high depression, low self-esteem.
Yeah, that's a great point because movement, most people think about movement and exercise just as burning calories to lose weight. And that's not it. That's the least important part about exercise and movement. The most important part is what it does for your brain, the circulation that it creates within your brain, the stimulation that it creates within your brain, just the sense of like challenge that you get from your brain from it. I mean, it's such a low hanging fruit to get healthy. It just blows my mind when people don't see it, especially when I see people so interested and fight so hard and work so hard on like the supplemental things that will only make a 10 or 20% gain when there's such a huge thing that is free for the most part. You just got to put some work in. You just have to do it. That's just sitting right there in front of them. And almost all of the things that are most important to being healthy long-term are cost free,
Are free.
Yeah. And you see a lot of this health guru things are basically trying to create those things in a product that costs a lot of money. Like, I've got a red light therapy. I use it. It costs a lot of money, but they aren't nothing compared to going outside and getting in the sunshine. There's grounding mats all over the place that people spend tons of money on. Just get outside and take your shoes off. Be outside in nature more. Get outside in sunshine and have that early morning sun hit your eyes. You're going to get way more benefits than a red light therapy or a grounding mat and a million other things that come along with it. So instead of supplementing, let's create the lifestyle of it.
So that was one thing. It was Lauren at the physical therapy.
Yeah,
right?
Apex.
Yes, Apex had said, and I remember saying is that we want people to do that for us rather than just doing the work ourselves. And I thought that was so interesting. I even found, like I said earlier, is like now I go to see you for, preventative, not for acute.
Yeah.
And she said, it's easier for us to say, oh, if my neck bothers me, I can go get an adjustment and I'll feel better.
Yeah.
But that's looking to you to take.
But only to a point.
Right.
There becomes a point in time that you go through that pain cycle. I love using analogies for things. One analogy I use that, a lot of patients will use chiropractors or PTs just for pain and do nothing in between. So, and you see this not just in mechanical health issues, but all health issues. People will do enough work to get the pain to go away, which is like your house catches on fire and you put out the fire. But then they just go right back to living in that house again. All right. And then the more times you do that cycle, the less habitable that house gets. Instead of, and what we try to do, and not everybody does this in our office, but this is what we always try to urge patients to do. Yeah, work hard to get out of pain, but understand that just because the pain's gone, you still have to rebuild the house if you want that house to function properly. So we see a lot of patients that go through that cycle of pain relief, pain relief, pain relief. And every time they go through it, it takes them longer to get out of pain. And they get closer and closer to the point where they need bigger things, where chiropractic care or PT or the simple things just don't help them anymore. I was trying to urge patients to understand the fact that, like, nobody's going to save you. Your PT isn't going to give you freedom from this all the time. A chiropractor isn't going to give you freedom from this. You are the only person through lifestyle long-term that's going to give you freedom. We can push you in the right direction. We can help you out of episodes and help coach you through it. But at the end of the day, you live with yourself 100% of the time, and we see a less than 1%. So you need to be held accountable.
So why do you think it is that we are willing to buy the supplements, spend the money, buy this, do that, get the mats, get the infrared stuff? Why do you think as humans we're willing to do that, but we're not willing to just get up and go for a walk?
A couple things. I don't know about you, but I'm more willing to give my money away than I am my time. Personally, my time is way more valuable than any dollar I've ever made. And two, it's just people are addicted to being comfortable, I guess, and they don't want to do hard things because they've been led to believe that being comfortable is the goal, that we want to be comfortable. And it's fool's gold, basically. You have to get uncomfortable to be healthy and to get better at anything. And there's just such a push towards comfort with everything. We want to be in that perfect zone of a thermostat and all these like perfect zones. Like, the contrast is contrast in life is really where the magic is. Where it really heightens the experience when you have that contrast of hot and cold, the salty and sweet, and the hard and the easy. Having that contrast just improves the overall value of life long term. So I think it's just our addiction to comfort. I don't know, modern addiction to comfort. I'm not exactly sure.
So much to think about. So last question. I always like to ask my guest, if somebody is listening to this and they're like, you know what, I'm ready to make a change, where would you suggest they start? So
with movement wise, I would say search out somebody that can help you. All right. I think a lot of what people fail at with an exercise is they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do when they go in the gym. They buy this membership and they don't know how to use it. So they'll flail around until they either hurt themselves or get frustrated because they're not getting progress.
Results, yeah.
So, even if you just hire them for once a month or 1 or 2 sessions, hire a personal trainer that really knows their way around a gym, really knows how to structure a plan, and sit down with them and have them customize something for you. There's a lot of great apps out there as well that will develop workout plans for you. Personally, I use for my strength training, use an app. It's called the Ladder app.
Ladder,
yeah. There's dozens of personal trainers on there, and they develop a 7-day-a-week workout plan for me. So I could develop it, but it's so much easier just to go into the gym, press play, and follow along. And every workout builds on the one before it. So even though I was a personal trainer, I still will get with personal trainers occasionally to get some new ideas. So get with somebody that specializes it and do deep diving to yourself of, try different things and find out what you really enjoy to do. Just because you don't like lifting heavy things up and putting them back down doesn't mean you don't enjoy exercise and movement. You just don't enjoy that specific type of exercise and movement.
Right.
Find something that you can start with and just try to add a 1% increase to it every single week until you get there.
All right. Oh, great advice. And I am a testament that what you say works. Yes.
But I don't like to.
But I don't want to. And it's changed my life.
Good.
Right.
That's awesome.
And I'm excited about the future. So I have people say to me, oh, that's just a part of getting older, is that you just get weaker and can't move or you get sick. And I'm like, who made that rule? Right?
Yeah.
That's just doesn't have to be that way.
Even if it was, I'm going to still get fighting my butt off to change it.
Change it, exactly.
How powerless does it sound to say, oh, you just bad genes and bad germs and bad luck and aging. You don't have a choice. It's like, that doesn't sound like any fun at all. It's not the reality I want to have.
No, and yes, exactly. We're gonna have fun fighting this one, right? So, also one of the things that I also love about you and your practice is that you give back a lot.
Yeah.
So I know you've got something that you're working on right now. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So it's one of our measures of success is to be a positive influence on our overall community, whether they're in our office or just in the greater Brighton, Livingston County area. So we're doing kind of a program right now that checks off a lot of buckets for us. So we're doing a fundraiser for Fund to Life, which they're rock stars here in Livingston County. They raise money and give grants to individuals that are at a great need. They could be somebody that's had some health challenges that just needs help paying the bills or travel costs to go and get the services that they need, or house has a fire, whatever it is. They raise money and they have grants for people in need. They're here right in Livingston County. So the fundraiser basically looks like this. You can refer patients in, or patients become new patients in our office. They can get a complete day one in our office, the discovery basically, for a $40 donation. That our office will match. If there's somebody that has insurance and their insurance is better than that, they can still go through their insurance. We will personally donate $40 from their insurance to it. And what that Discovery Day gets is consultation. We sit down and talk to you about your health history, what you'd like to get out of your experience with our office, exam, x-rays, and then a report of findings. So for me, it's kind of a no-brainer. You'll get so much value from it. Even if you don't end up going through with care, you're going to learn a ton about chiropractic. You're going to learn a ton about your spine and kind of the results of your repetitive stresses in life, that even if you don't go forward with care, it's going to give you some ideas of where to go to next and what to do. And so we'll take you right up to that first adjustment. And then if you want to go forward with care, we'll talk about what that looks like. So it's the $40 donation. We also have some raffle prizes, some raffle tickets that you can purchase in the office. We're raffling off like a Yeti cooler and some massage packages and things like that. So it's for patients that refer people in. They get free raffle tickets. So it's a way to give back to our awesome patients, give back to our community, and then just build our community up a little bit and get our message about what we're trying to do.
Raise awareness. That's cool. All right. And then also, I know that you've recently stepped up and become the president of the Brighton Business Builders.
Big deal. It's my turn. Yeah.
It's a really cool, it's a very, very cool business networking group that is, I don't know, there's such a camaraderie and support, and about, as you said once, it's like we work on keep having our businesses be profitable so we can give back.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because if you're going to be in business, you need to be profitable, but you also want to do it in a way that gives back.
Yeah, that's how Sherry and I originally met 11-ish years ago, something like that. Yeah. Great group of people. We've got a wide range of business professionals in there. We meet every other week at Stateside Deli. And we pass business. We talk about how we can improve each other's businesses. We have mastermind meetings where a member gets to stand up and talk about, all right, this is what's working in my business, to share successes and things that they've done well, or this is what isn't working. This is what I need help with. And give me your wisdom. You know? And we've got people that are brand new to business, the people that have been in business for 40 years. That are in there, and it's awesome to be able to learn from one another and share business. And we do a lot for the community and do give back for the community as well. So it's an awesome group.
Very well said. So on that happy note, I want to just remind you to check out goodfatlife.com, our website. We have the hard copy and we have a digital copy, and we have lots of cool things that are happening. So check us out. And thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. This is awesome.
So much.
My word count is climbing.
It is.
I've had a lot of talking this week.
There you go.
I was a presenter at BBB, and we've been just slammed in the office with all the new patients. There's just a lot of educating. So I'm going to spend this weekend not talking.
There you go. And you can spend it in your gym doing your movement,
quiet,
right? Right. So thank you so much, and go out and live your good fat life.
Awesome, Sherry. Thank you.